Hello, my name's Ian Glover and I'm President of CREST, and I wanted to describe some of the work we're currently doing looking at semi-autonomous and fully autonomous vehicles. We've been looking at this as a subject for quite some time. Obviously, security of those types of vehicles is a very important consideration, and there's been a huge amount of conversation and quite a lot of initiatives looking in this particular area. What we have identified though is a lot of the security considerations are very much orientated towards the physical access control to the vehicle, particularly in shared environments, and also non-repudiation should there be an accident. So a lot of the initiatives we've seen in the area of cybersecurity have been concentrating on those two aspects, not necessarily taking control of the vehicle, not necessarily overriding any of the systems or elements associated with the vehicle which could make it a danger, and certainly not looking at things like theft from within a vehicle and those types of things either. So there's quite a lot we believe that should be included which isn't currently part of initiatives, even where those initiatives are actually describing that they're considering cybersecurity as a particular content. We are very lucky because if you look at the CREST membership and you look at the number of manufacturers in terms of semi-autonomous and autonomous vehicles, the vast majority of those have had some work done by some of our CREST member companies. So we've actually got quite a lot of experience built up collaboratively that we can draw upon to actually try to come out with some better standards and observations. We also work in other industries as well, which I think is very important, and therefore we can consider moving across standards, for example, of critical and non-critical functions from, say, aviation, and considering how we put those into automotive vehicles. I think that's a very important concept because we've seen most of the hacking associated with vehicles coming through either aftermarket products or from the entertainment systems or other. And what we therefore need to do is absolutely make sure that the current vehicles that we're putting on the road are going to be secure. But in addition to that, we don't actually introduce additional problems due to the advent of aftermarket products that are put onto vehicles, which in theory could make them a lot less secure. We've been doing quite a lot of work in here, looking at the standards. We've already produced some draft documentation and run a series of workshops. And we've been part of some of the big initiatives, particularly in the UK, looking at autonomous vehicles working around cities like, for example, Bristol. What we're now doing is trying to consolidate all of that work together into a much more considered piece of research. And really what we're looking to do now is to share that piece of research much more widely and therefore gain much wider collaboration and input from the rest of our community. So that's both CREST member companies and other people that are interested in the subject. We're going to be running a workshop in the third quarter of this year to look at our existing publications and the documentation we've produced with a viewpoint to looking at whether some forms of standards could be produced in this particular area, covering the wider aspects of cybersecurity related issues. We've already got quite a lot of interest, again, from, for example, the UK government, which is asking us for these types of reports so that we can feed into the overall process to understand exactly how this fits. And some of the initiatives that we've been involved in where security hasn't actually been a formal part of the consideration, so in other words, they have just looked at access control and non-repudiation, they would like to extend some of that work as well to consider the wider aspects of cybersecurity. As I say, we've been running a workshop in the third quarter of this year, and really this is a request for anybody to provide input to that. We'd really like you to attend the workshops we're running, but again, we'll record those and we'll make them available through our webinars so that people can actually provide input to it who can't actually attend the meetings. But in addition to that, if you have been doing work in this area, then we'd really be interested in speaking to you in one form or another to make sure that we're extracting the best practice and some of your ideas that we can put into our reports. And very much what we'd like you to do is to participate. So therefore, if you've again been working in this area and you have opinions or any ideas that we should be considering, then please let us know and we'll at least consider them in terms of the research opportunities that we've got to build this more collaborative view of semi-autonomous and autonomous vehicles. I think this is a really interesting subject. It's certainly got a lot of press and it's certainly got a lot of initiatives going on, but I think some of the principles associated with what we can do in this area, we can roll out into the wider Internet of Things and some of the other aspects in terms of critical national infrastructure and other forms of transportation. So my strong view is if we get this right, first of all, we'll have a much greater level of influence in terms of the marketplace, which I think will open up opportunities for our member companies. In addition to that, I think we can make the car manufacturers much more aware of the types of issues, and I think the best way to do that is through collaboration. And then thirdly, I think we can actually start to put some influence in terms of government regulation and policy in this on a global basis to make sure these vehicles are introduced into the marketplace, but they're introduced in a controlled and secure way. So please participate. That's really the request I have. And please contact CREST through our marketing department to make sure that you know when these workshops are running, so you know when the webinars are operating, and also you can contribute in terms of providing input to the overall process. We'd really like to get a really good publication out the back end of this, and we'd really like to have a considered view from our industry that we can put forward to both the manufacturers, governments and regulators. Thank you very much.